What's up, everybody? This is episode 9 of the CCAU2G show. Today, we're going to bring you how to deal with racism and colorism. Now, what I'm about to read to you is information from Google. I researched, and after I give you each bullet point, after the section, I'm going to give you my input, my 2 cents, whether you take it or not, it's either or. First, we have prioritize healing and self-care. Second, we have challenge biased behavior. And third, we have educate and shift perspectives. So let's go ahead and jump into the prioritize and healing and self-care. What Google suggested, what the research suggests, is that you validate your reality, basically your emotions, protect your peace, and seek professional support. I personally believe that prioritizing your healing and self-care means removing yourself from the situation and not engaging in any type of conversation that could lead to a physical altercation. By doing so, like say you're in school and there is, a racist person or a person that's discriminated against color, you want to go ahead and tell the principal, hey, I would like to be removed from this individual, or remove yourself from the sports team or any type of club with any of that type of behavior. And if they decline, you basically want to go to the county and say you want to be homeschooled. Your self-care is basically saying your health, your health is, you don't want to get physically hurt for someone discriminated against, being light skinned, dark skinned, brown skinned, are just associated with being black, or any other type of race. Racism doesn't just stop at being black. You can be racism is for everybody. So what you want to do is go ahead and stop the individual from continuing to, make jokes or remarks about something you can't control. It's out of your power. You were born with that skin, and it really shouldn't matter. Challenge 2: challenge biased behavior. Address the behavior, not the person. Address family and friends. Advocate in your community. I would personally say, let's put this in a work environment. Addressing the behavior, not the person. You're pretty much continuing a conversation, like in the previous example I gave with school. It's pretty much going to follow the same example. Once you hear, a remark about your skin tone or your race or just your community, you just want to go ahead and quit that job. Don't even worry about putting in your 2-week notice, because that behavior shouldn't even be tolerated from the door. And once you quit your job, if they call you and say, hey, why'd you leave, why you didn't show up the next day, just be like, I don't deal with racism at all. It's 2026. I don't know what y'all got going on. What y'all trying to prove. I'm saying y'all can't change me. Verbally. Maybe if I go to the hospital and get a skin lightening treatment, maybe, but that doesn't stop who I am inside. So you want to go ahead and just quit the job. And if it's out like at a restaurant, a rude customer service, or not being served right proportions, when you look at the food, go ahead and just leave the restaurant. Don't even worry about all that. Actually, if you hear, like, if you read the comments on the reviews, like, oh, and just don't even show up to the restaurant. Because I guarantee you, if you go to a black restaurant or a black, pharmacy shop, you will only see black customers at the end of the day. So I don't even know why you're trying to put yourself in an environment of potential racism. And then when it comes to family, when it comes to like you being in places or, you going to events and stuff like bars, sporting events, if the crowd is going to be some sort of racist comment is going to come out, don't buy your ticket. Don't put your child on the team where he's the only black kid. Okay. Don't, if you're the head coach, don't face five all white teams trying to prove a point. We get it. If you're good, you're good. You don't have to prove a point to the world that, you know, uh, kid A is a better pitcher than kid B on this team. We don't need no example, bro. Like, stop, or sis. Like, we don't need your softball team or your AAU basketball teams, but because the fight's got to stop. And when it comes to like racism, you don't have to show up. You don't have to spend your money at all these expensive you know restaurants that doesn't serve people of color or minorities with respect. You don't have to let them keep it in their community, and you know you can always Google the recipe. It's usually tablespoons and good measurements. It ain't no secret. Ain't nothing new under the sun. So that's how we're just going to keep going like that. Okay, so we're going to educate and shift perspectives is what Google is telling us, right? Understand the history, talk about it openly, and normalize the difference. Understand the history, right? The history deals with slavery, right? When Africans were brought to America to build America, and then now we're all have equal rights. They want us to still feel under pressure that you have to be perfect. No one's perfect. Okay, no one's perfect. You don't have to be perfect in the world to live a decent life. You just got to stay away from the individuals that preach that type of mindset. Like, hey, if you're not dark skinned, you're not black. If you're light skinned, you're not black. If you're brown skinned, you're almost Hispanic. Cut it out. Okay, whatever it says on your birth certificate that your parents, your mom, your dad, your guardian, whoever signed that birth certificate said you were, or whoever you personally feel like you classify the most as, that's who you classify the most as. But if you want to deal with racism, colorism, right, and you talking about slavery, and you just want to go ahead and take that, right, and keep it to yourself because that's who you are. You don't got to be told what slavery is by someone who doesn't have any type of ancestors in slavery. Like that's kind of corny right there. But talking about it openly, I feel like it shouldn't have been done. It shouldn't be done because it draws out the emotion of like pain, fear, feeling beneath. So go ahead, when you're in that position to like say, can I leave the room? Leave the room. Or you don't even gotta say anything. You just walk out. You know what I'm saying? Don't no one hold you hostage. So there's no cuff on your wrist to say, hey, you gotta stay here and listen to me lecture to you about slavery. That's not what's going on. Normalize the difference. Normalize the difference, right? I feel like, personally like normalizing difference is if they want to say, like, if you put me in the position of when they were saying like no whites only, no blacks, I would have been the guy that's saying, where are we cooking the fried chicken at? You know what I'm saying? Where we got the gravy, the mashed potatoes, the good food. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not really trying to prove no point. I'm just trying to eat good. You know what I'm saying? Stick to my family, work my job. You know what I'm saying? Make my money, buy my house. Build my family. All this whole like, we gonna fight you for saying that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna put myself in the hospital because you wanna chit chat about something about, saying you read about. You know what I'm saying? Remember, we all read about it. You know what I'm saying? Most people that's born in the 2000s or 90s, 80s, we read about what was going on. You know what I'm saying? People who lived through it, if they would have told us, if you would have told me there's a fire on 12th Street, I wouldn't walk down 12th Street to see if there's a fire. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to stay right here and say, hey, man, where's the cherry pie at? You know what I'm saying? I ain't got time to be letting you say, yeah, you right so many times because it's just at the point where it's like it's getting repetitive, and then you want to shove like your greatness in my face, bro. I don't care if you like really great or not. I just want to say like, hey, man, you did your thing on them fried chicken wings. You know what I'm saying? Where's the hot sauce at? You know what I'm saying? And when we talk about our culture, you know what I'm saying, not being ashamed, you know what I'm saying, when we see a group of individuals pretending or portraying the black culture, I'm not finna walk up to them and start a conflict saying, "Hey, bro, you being black, why you doing all that?" I'm gonna be like, "I see you, right?" And then I was saying, who's at the function performing next on the stage, or what I'm saying, we're gonna keep it moving. We're not gonna focus pinpoint on the little things, and that's how you stay safe. That's how you live long. You know what I'm saying? When you try to put yourself on the front line for people who don't want you in their face, they can't fight something that's not there. You know what I'm saying? That point they're searching, and when they search, right? Then when you're talking about protecting yourself, you call the police saying, "Hey, so and so is at my door, knocking on my door, trying to preach or something about how what I'm saying, superiority. Their race is superior. You know what I'm saying?" Then you throw them in jail, and then you move, right? And you move to an area where it's more acceptable to be normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, pretty much racism and colorism is really just weird. You know what I'm saying? It's a weird mindset to have, and it's also weird for the person who is being subjected to place themselves in to feel like, hey, I can change you. If I don't want to learn algebra, I don't got to learn algebra. If I don't want to know what this loaf of bread is cost, what I'm saying, on sale because I only eat wheat bread and this is, Popeye's bread, I'm not going to sit here and read the nutrition facts about the papyrus bread, am I? No. So check this out. Here's a great example for me and for you all, and this is going to be the last example. When you try to create a fire, when man, woman, anything, try to create a fire first with sticks, what comes first, right? When you're trying to create a fire, smoke. Smoke comes first before the fire. Don't go out in the world looking for smoke because you're going to catch the heat. And I promise you, when people say they lost their lives trying to fight for all this and that, it's because they're trying to, reach out towards the fire. We shouldn't be reaching out towards the fire, right? We should be self-centered and know who we are and self-loving and self-loving towards our community. Don't walk up to people trying to create conflict, right? If the baseball game is going to have a lot of racist individuals in the building, don't go buy a ticket. It's that simple. If you know that restaurant there is going to be serving great food, but they don't do blacks or any type of minorities, don't go over there, right? It's that simple. Don't even try to scheme to get the recipe. The food ain't, it's food, but don't let external things affect who you are as a person, is all I'm saying, right? And what Google and the researchers say is accurate, but to be more safe is to remove yourself immediately and not even put yourself in that position to be hurt. Okay. And for circumstances, like say you're on the road, right? And this is gonna be the last point. You're on the road and you need gas, and it's in a racist town. Don't go try to make conversations with the clerk. Just say, hey, I need 45 on pump one. If you say, hey, how's your day going? Just walk out. It's not a crime to not talk to someone, to not respond. It's not a crime. Oh, they say, oh, you're being rude. Oh, this one like what? Pump your gas and boom. Right? Because I promise you, it only takes 9 months to forget anything. Okay? 9 months. So if they're trying to talk to you and just don't say nothing back. Don't talk, don't even open that door. Right? If you know their self-care, if their hygiene ain't up to par and it looks like that image that you feel like is going to bring that out to you, just buy the gas and walk out that door and pump your gas and get on, man. It ain't too hard, it ain't too difficult. You ain't gotta learn what his sister's doing in college or his brother's doing on the football team. No one cares. At the end of the day, no one cares. I promise you that. Stay safe. Episode 9. More facts coming soon. Thank you.